Welcome to the Football Fellows. We'll be discussing today the upcoming Premier League fixtures starting tomorrow right through until next Monday. Our predictions, talk about the game, about the players. And so we're going to start off with the first game, which is the early game tomorrow, which is Sheffield United versus Newcastle United. Jake, give me your prediction and analysis of this game.
This game is going to be, I would say, a pretty boring one here. Sheffield United, the struggling team all season. Newcastle's pretty weird results, I'd say. They've won a couple games that probably weren't expected and tied, but I'm going to say 1-1 on this one. Pretty low scoring and a draw.
I'm actually going to go for Sheffield United's first win of the season. I'm going to go Sheffield United 2, Newcastle 0. And just the mere fact that I'm saying Sheffield United has scored 2 goals, which is remarkable in itself. I think their problem this season is they don't really have an out-and-out goal scorer. I'm not sure that any of the forwards they have are Premier League quality. I think maybe Championship. And this is going to be a big problem, has been a big problem for them obviously all season. Currently on 2 points. I think Steve Bruce has done a fantastic job at Newcastle so far. They're not out of danger. They've got 19 points right now in the 16th place. But I just feel it's Sheffield United are overdue a win, and I'm going to go Sheffield United 2, Newcastle 0. The next game we have is Burnley versus your team, Manchester United. Burnley playing at Turf Moor. Currently in 16th place with 16 points. Manchester United, incredibly, have the opportunity to go top, which I find amazing. Since they lost at home to Crystal Palace early in the season, they lost 6-1 at home to Tottenham, and just by the virtue of the fact that they can actually go top seems crazy to me. It seemed like a month ago it was just a matter of time before Solskjaer got sacked, and now Pochettino has been given the position at PSG, which obviously has given him a lot of relief right there. And like I said, chance to go top tomorrow. Jake, Burnley, Manchester United, your prediction?
Yeah, I think that the players know that the pressure's been on them all season, and I think it's going to be a pretty comfortable game. I'm going to go for 3-0 Man U here.
Wow, Burnley 0, Man United 3. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than that. Burnley did show their weaknesses in the cup game during the week, where they barely got by a much lower ranked team. In fact, we're very lucky to come away with the draw in regular time. I'm not going to disagree with you that I still think it would be Burnley 0, Manchester United 2. I think Wood and Barnes will cause some problems for Manchester United at the back just because of their physicality. But I think ultimately Manchester United got just too much for Burnley. Burnley 0, Manchester United 2. I think it's Martial needs to get going. He's not really delivered this year. He's been a bit of a luxury up front. He doesn't really do enough for me. He needs to get on a run of scoring every single game. I think Rashford and Fernandes have really been the mainstays of the team and the reason why they're doing so well right currently. So the next game is Wolves versus Everton at Molineux.
Why don't you start this one off?
Okay, so Wolves, bit of a hit and miss team. There's no real consistency with them. Obviously, missing what's his name, the forward, Jimenez, very very badly. Podence is a pretty good player. I like his creativity. I'm not sure if he's going to be fit for this game. Everton are the model of inconsistency. You look at Everton on paper, they've got some great players individually, but don't seem to gel as a team, even though they are currently in, I think, 7th place. And it's so close at the top right now, they could actually go into the top 4. They're on 29 points right now. So I think this game is going to be a close one. I wouldn't be surprised if this game ends. I'm going to go for Wolves 1, Everton 1.
Yeah, it's probably going to be pretty close. Everton, I think, had just been so underwhelming after starting off 5 wins for 5 that their players' quality is definitely there, but in the games it doesn't show. Calvert-Lewin is physical and fast, good, but you don't see that in the games where Charlton's always missing. They could be good, but I don't know. Wolves is obviously just a tough team to beat. Pretty poor, not poor, but lack offense right now without Jimenez. I think it could be boring, but I think I think Everton are going to win. They have an advantage just because their players have higher potential, and I think it's going to be 1-0 Everton or 2-1 Everton, but definitely wouldn't say it's a high-scoring game.
And I think Everton right now, for those people that like to do sports betting, and particularly on the Premier League, I think the Everton odds are
like plus 200.
Plus 200. So it might be a good bet if you're of that inclination. Plus 200 for an Everton away win. I'm sure you could probably get either pick or plus half on Everton, which would be obviously good odds also. So that might be our outside tip for the week. Now we go into Wednesday's games. Just 2 games on Wednesday. The early game is Manchester City versus Brighton. I think Manchester City are starting to hit form right now. They're currently in 3rd place on 29 points. They've improved gradually over the course of the season. Don't seem to be missing Jesus or Aguero right now. The players are all chipping in with goals. They've got so much creativity and attacking flair on the team. I think at home to Brighton, and Brighton for me have actually been a disappointment because the way they started the season, even though some results went against them, they looked like they were a team that could play very attractive football. But they just really have. I mean, they're currently in 17th place, so just one place above the drop zone. So I think Manchester are going to be way too strong for them. Even though I do feel Brighton have improved tremendously this year, even though the placement on the league doesn't suggest that, but I'm going to go for Manchester City 3, Brighton 0.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3-0. I don't think there's a lot to talk about. Man City are coming back into really good form. It's just going to be an easy game. 3-0.
Yeah. Tottenham versus Fulham. This might be a harder game for Tottenham than people I think realise. I think Tottenham seem to like it when other teams come at them. I'm not sure that Fulham are going to. I think that Mourinho has been a little bit fortunate with some of his games recently. I think he's been found out in terms of playing the counter-attacking style. I think it's going to work against the inferior teams. I don't think it works against the better teams. I think Tottenham are, quite honestly, in a forced position right now. I think, however, having said that, this game is going to be comfortable for them. I'm going to go Tottenham 2, Fulham 0. I think Kane and Son have just got too much about them. They're just too good not to cause a Fulham defence a lot of trouble. Although I would say that Parker's done a great job in getting that defence galvanised and organised, and they seem to be much more a much better unit in terms of the way they're defending right now. They have got some very good players on the team in the attacking side of it on the midfield. So having said that, though, it's Tottenham 2, Fulham 0.
Yeah, I think Tottenham are pretty overrated. Son and Kane, without them, I think they would never stand a chance to compete with some of the top teams. The rest of the team I think is pretty average. I actually really like Reguilon, their left back. I think he's really good. I think that with Son and Kane, their defensive style and their counter-attack, it's going to be 1-0 Tottenham. I think it's going to be tougher than people think as well. Yeah.
And then Thursday, just one game on Thursday, Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Arsenal currently in 11th place, Palace in 17th place on 22 points. Actually, Arsenal are only 1 point ahead, even though there's 6 places between them. This is how close the league is this year. Arsenal have had three wins in the trot, which have really kept Arteta comfortable for now. But it's just amazing that you could lose 2 or 3 games in a row, and your position as the manager is in under pressure and in doubt. Then you win 3 games in a row, and it turns around. I think a lot of this is down to the media. There's just way too much emphasis on 1 or 2 games as opposed to looking at the season overall. Arsenal, obviously, the last 3 games have found a little bit of consistency. Aubameyang needs to get back to the form we know that he can produce. They've got some good young players, though. Arsenal, they've got a lot of speed on the team. Crystal Palace, for me, without Zaha, are a team that are going to be facing relegation battles every single year. Zaha is the spark of that team. Everything that's good comes from him. He's very, very temperamental sometimes and can get himself in trouble, but he does have a lot of quality about him. He has a lot of pace. He's not afraid to have a go at players. And I think this game is going to be a little bit closer, and I'm going to go for Arsenal 2, Crystal Palace 1.
Yeah, this one, I'm not sure about this one. I really like Eze on Palace as
Good
well.
player. Yeah, very
And
good player.
I think that because Arsenal is not strong, I think that just Eze, Saha, they could do enough to pull Palace a point out of this one. I think Arsenal's still probably favored because all-around better team, but I think that it's going to be close. I could see Palace getting a point, but I'm going to take Arsenal 2-1.
I think Arsenal's midfield is just not strong enough. I mean, the transfer window's still open until the end of the month. I think Arsenal need to find desperately a creative midfield player. Ceballos is a good player, but he's not consistent. I think they need a really creative midfield player. Palace, under Hodgson, for me, Palace is just a very, very dour team. He seems to always set up to be as defensive as possible, and he plays not to lose. I think Hodgson, and you can only get away with that so many times. Maybe you take the points off the weaker teams, the lower placed teams, but you're not going to take anything away from the top teams if you play so defensively, because they're going to be just too good for you. So the next round of games is going to be Saturday. There's 5 games on Saturday. First game up is Wolves, Midlands Derby, Wolves versus West Brom. Jake?
And West Brom is I think they're a pretty poor team. Wolves, again, they're hit and miss, but at home to West Brom, and they should probably dominate most of the possession and end up scoring a goal somehow. I'll go 2-0 Wolves.
I think this is a no-brainer for me. I think West Brom are an awful team. I think they don't have any chance of avoiding relegation. It looks like Sheffield United and West Brom are certainties for relegation, and the other relegation spots are up for grabs. I think Fulham might get away with it, but West Brom definitely going down. I'm going to go Wolves 3, West Brom 1. Next game up is Leeds versus Brighton. Leeds coming off the back of that shock defeat by League 2 Crawley. And it was a shock, because not just because of the result, because Crawley actually deserved to win. I don't know how Leeds are going to rebound from this. They did have a strong team out. I know that they didn't have a complete full team out, but they probably had 7 or 8 of their first team players. So I don't know how their confidence is going to be affected. I think Bielsa was not going to allow that team to forget this game quickly. I think they're going to rebound. They have got goals in them, Leeds, albeit they couldn't score one against a League 2 team, but they do have goals. I think you're going to see a bounce back from Leeds. I'm going to go with Leeds 4, Brighton 2.
Okay, I'm going to go, and I think Leeds are going to win as well. I think they're a really good all-around team. I probably overrate them a little bit, but they're high energy, high physicality, and they're always on the ball all times of the game. Brighton I don't think they're that much behind the quality, but I just think Leeds they're going to be all over them. I think Leeds are going to win this 2-1.
2-1, okay. West Ham versus Burnley, the 2 claret and blue teams, playing at West Ham are at home on Saturday. West Ham again seem to be a fairly inconsistent team. They've just sold Haller. Not sure that's going to have much impact either way, quite honestly. I don't know if Mikel Antonio is back, but that will make a huge difference if he's available. I think he was getting back to fitness. If he starts, I think it obviously gives West Ham a better chance to get the result they're looking for. Again, Burnley, that type of team that going to be in your face. They're going to be physical. They've got a few decent players on the team, but I think if Mikel Antonio is available and does start, I think it's going to be West Ham 2, Burnley 0.
Yeah, I think that West Ham is probably too good. I think that Mikel Antonio would be a big deal. Souček's been doing really well. Bowen's obviously a quality player.
Yeah.
And Burnley's just that physical team, which could work out in this game maybe, honestly, because West Ham don't really have too many physical offensive players. And I think Haller being sold I think he was useless anyway. He did nothing for them almost. I actually don't know. I'm not sure. I think Burnley might be able to get a point. I'm going to say West Ham 1, Burnley 1 on this one.
Wow, surprised at that. Next game is a West London derby, Fulham versus my team Chelsea, Craven Cottage. I think Fulham again. I think they've bounced back very well the last 4 or 5 games. They've definitely got better shape to the team. The defence is much stronger than it was at the beginning of the season. They were letting in goals for fun at the beginning of the season. Scott Parker's done a good job there. I do think Chelsea are. This is a huge game actually for Frank Lampard. They need to get winning in the Premier League again. They had a very comfortable cup win during the week. I think the fact that it's being discussed that Frank Lampard's position may be in doubt is ridiculous. I think he should be the coach for the rest of the season. The fact that he got them into the Champions League last year with the squad that he inherited was incredible. Again, with the Premier League, you lose 2 or 3 games in a row, and all of a sudden the coach is under tremendous pressure, and this is what's happened here. He's got some players that have not gelled yet, most noticeably Werner and Havertz. I actually think that Werner should be dropped right now to take a little bit of pressure off him. I just don't think he's creating anything right now. He scored a goal in the cup in the week, but other than the goal, he wasn't really in the game. You've got to start Giroud up front. Giroud will allow players like Mason Mount and Ziyech to come into play, as well as Pulisic. I think if you start Giroud, I think the Chelsea team is going to be a threat to Fulham. So if Giroud starts, I'm going to go Fulham 0, Chelsea 2.
Yeah, I agree. I think Giroud is the perfect man for Chelsea because with Mount, Pulisic, Ziyech, they're all fast winger kind of players. He holds the ball for them and gives them so much space. Where Werner, he's been pretty terrible. His touches all season have been shockingly bad. He can't finish. He definitely should not be starting for me. I think Drew is literally the perfect man to hold the ball up for Chelsea, and I don't think it's going to matter in this game. I think Chelsea should comfortably possess the game, and I think that there is quality still. That's going to be 2-0 to Chelsea.
I think with Werner, I think what Lampard should do in this game is have him on the subs bench, and if Chelsea can establish a 1 or 2 goal lead, then bring him in where the pressure's off him a little bit, and maybe he can nick a goal at the end of the game and then restore his confidence that way. But right now he doesn't deserve his place, neither does Havertz. I think you've got to go Giroud, Pulisic, Mount and Ziyech as the front 4 there. That's the only way that they're going to progress. The last game on Saturday is Leicester at home to Southampton. Surprise package this season so far. Southampton have looked pretty good actually. They're playing very good football. In fact, both these teams to me are very, very similar. Teams that are overachieving right now in the league. Both got quality players. I like their midfield. Vardy is still producing at his age right now. I think Ings, if he's fit, it makes a huge difference to the Southampton team. Ward-Prowse has been fantastic this year, but I think you've got the whole team that is pulling together right now on both sides. This is a difficult game for me. I think this game could go either way, but I'm going to go for Leicester 1, Southampton 1.
Yeah, Southampton's been really, really good this season. I'm probably their biggest fan, honestly, because I think they're playing so well, and I think Ings is such a good forward. He's so clinical. Leicester, I never really thought they were that good, but they always surprise me every result. But I'm going to keep going on the train in this one. I'm going to say Southampton is going to win this one 3-2. I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game.
Wow. Yeah, I think there could be goals in this game as well. I think, obviously from Southampton's point of view, if they can keep Vardy quiet, then you've got a good chance of winning. They haven't, outside of Vardy, I don't think Iheanacho's up to it, quite honestly. Maddison's starting to hit form again if he can stay fit and healthy. But that Southampton midfield is very, very strong. Close game, but still 1-1 for me. Sunday's games, the early game is Aston Villa versus Everton.
I think Aston Villa's really, really done a really good job this season. I think Everton, as I said before, are really underwhelming for what they could be. Villa's home. I think Grealish is such an incredible player. He opens a whole game up for Villa every game. And Everton, you could never know with Everton. You never know if their players are going to ever show up. I'm going to take Villa to win this one 2-1. I think they've been too good. They have quality in the team.
Yeah, I agree. I think Aston Villa have really surprised everybody this year from where they were last year. Just barely avoided relegation this year and have come back very strong. Grealish for me is probably, with Fernandes, has been the outstanding player in the league this year. I think those two are in the contention for Player of the Year. I know it's still early yet, but Aston Villa are a very good attacking team. I think who's the forward for Villa? Ghazi. El Ghazi has been getting a lot of goals this year.
Their forward's Watkins.
I like Watkins. I think he's been a bit unlucky recently. He's worked his butt off for the team. He works very hard. I think he's going to score again very soon. Everton, like Jake said, you don't know what team's going to show up from a day-to-day basis. You just one day they're great, and the next day they just got rolled over very easily. So I'm going to go with the same result as Jake. I'm going to go Aston Villa 2, Everton 1. I would say this: it's amazing to me that the England coach Gareth Southgate took so long to see how good that Jack Grealish was. I find it amazing that an England manager has to hear the opinion from the public and from the press about putting Jack Grealish in a team. I just, on a personal note, I don't understand why Gareth Southgate's the coach still. But regardless, next game, Sheffield United versus Tottenham.
Sheffield United, said earlier, not good enough for the Premier League. They haven't won a game all season. I don't believe in being due. They're not good enough. Tottenham, way too good for them. Even if I said Tottenham is a little overrated, they're still way too good for Sheffield United. Kane and Son alone should have a field day. I think it's going to be Tottenham 2, Sheffield United 0. Could be more.
Yeah, I think
this is a perfect game for Tottenham's play style because Sheffield United have such little quality. Even if they're never going to break Tottenham down, even if they keep coming at them, they won't score a goal.
Yeah, when you look at the Sheffield United forwards, you got McGoldrick, you got Musolay, and who's the other forward they got? McBurney. Again, I hate to say this, but they're just not Premier League quality. They're Championship quality, and I don't know how many goals they've scored this year, or who's the top goal scorer. It wouldn't be surprised me if. I think McGoldrick scored 2 goals in one game, but if 3's the top goal scorer, that says everything about Sheffield United right now. They're not creating a lot of chances either. I think who was the player last year that did really well for Sheffield United in the midfield? I can't remember his name now, but they're not creating chances. No. Norwood, Ollie Norwood. He had a good season last year, but he's not the same player this year, and. Defensively, you look at Sheffield United, they look strong, but they're conceding goals because they're under so much pressure all the time because they're not creating anything at the other end. So I'm going to go Sheffield United 0, Tottenham 2. In a game like this, you would expect Tottenham to win by maybe 3 or 4, but I think Mourinho is, he'd get a 2-goal lead and then he'd close it down. I just don't think it's his mentality, his style to go for the throat. He'd get a lead and sit on it. So now the big game, next game, the big game of the whole week actually, at Anfield, Liverpool versus their biggest rival, still their biggest rival. So both teams, Liverpool versus Manchester United.
Obviously, I'm biased in this one, so it's hard to say Liverpool's going to win. But as being realistic as possible. For Man U, I think in the big games like this, it's tough because sometimes Solskjaer won't start Fred and McTominay. Personally, I think they're the best 2 in the midfield by a mile. And in a game like this, I think we need to play them because there's 90 minutes of high energy, high press.
Like the PSG game.
No time on the ball for Liverpool, and that's what you want against a team like this. So I think if they start, I mean, it's never as easy as it is for Liverpool against Man U. It's always a closer game than people will probably think. I think with that, and I think it's going to be. I don't think Liverpool is just going to win this one easily. I think we get at least a point, maybe a win. It's a volatile game. I think it could go either way. Liverpool are still a better quality team, obviously, but they haven't been getting results against some teams they should have. So I'm gonna obviously say 2-1 Man U, but I think this can go literally any way.
That's so unimpartial. That's ridiculous. I think Liverpool will be too good for them. I would say this, that I think defensively they could come under a lot of pressure. Liverpool. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold, if he's facing Rashford, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold, a fantastic footballer, but a terrible defender. I don't understand how he's gotten away with it for so long. I think because he's been in such a quality dominating team for years, he's gotten away with it. But I think if you run at Trent Alexander-Arnold, his turn of pace is just minimal.
He gets beaten, if you watch closely, very easily. One touch of the ball, players are past him. He's like one of statistically the most dribbled past players this season.
I think if Solskjaer gets it right, if he puts Rashford up against Trent Alexander, Rashford could destroy him, and that could be key to the game. Whether Solskjaer has got the intelligence to see that for himself, because I think the problem is with Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's got so many people that think he's a fantastic player, and he is a good football player for sure. He's definitely a good football player, just not a good defender. And I think at some point maybe he should be moved to midfield because he does get beaten so easily. And the fact that for years he's had Van Dijk and Fabinho and what other defenders alongside him, and some good recovering midfield players that do a lot of work, he's gotten away with it. But I think Martial and Rashford up against him, I think he could get found out in this game. I don't know whether, like I said, whether they will do that, but it's going to be a close one. I don't think it's going to be easy. I just think with the Liverpool front three, it's any game that they play in, they're always going to give themselves a chance. But having said that, I'm going to go Liverpool 1, Manchester United 1. The last game on Sunday, Manchester City at home to Crystal Palace.
This is a no-brainer again. Man City, they're way too good in every single part. Zaha, Eze, even if they can produce a lot, they're going to be... I don't even think they'll get much of a shout in this game. Man City is way too good. I'm going to go with another 3-0 Man City.
Yeah, I think Manchester City have got way too much creativity about them for Crystal Palace. I think, Eze and Zaha aside, that's two players, does not make a team. I think defensively, Palace have got players a little bit on the older side. Even if you don't start Jesus and or Aguero, I think with De Bruyne, with Bernard Silva, with Sterling, with Mahrez, those four players alone, without Jesus or Aguero, are still going to tear Palace apart. Quite honestly, I'm going to go Man City 5, Crystal Palace 0. And the last game of the week is Arsenal at home to Newcastle.
And that for me will be that's a tough one again, but I mean Arsenal at home should be winning this game against Newcastle. I mean Arsenal's quality is definitely better than Newcastle's. I still always think Arsenal isn't that good, but I think just Aubameyang alone will be enough for Newcastle defensively. They're not that good. Aubameyang should have a pretty goal-fest day if he wants some goals. But then again, I don't think Arsenal's midfield is that strong, so this is why I'm not sure about this game. I think, if anything, Arsenal have the advantage. I'll say 2-1 Arsenal.
Yeah, I think, all of our predictions so far, we've had goals in, and I think this could be the one exception to the rule here. I think this is going to be quite a boring game. I think it's going to be dour. I don't think there's going to be a lot of chances in the game. I think the Newcastle team does work hard for each other. I don't know that they have a lot of goals in the team. Joe Linton has done nothing as far as I'm concerned. I don't think they have a goal-scoring threat. Aubameyang, if he starts to find his form, then obviously he's a world-class player. I just feel I've got a feeling it's going to be Arsenal 0, Newcastle 0.
I could definitely see it.
Yeah, so that wraps it up. Romeo, what do you think? So that wraps up for this week.
But we'll do picks of the week for bettors now.
Oh yes.
So we'll say what we think is worth betting on,
and the outside bet.
Whatever. Well, the outside bet we mentioned was Everton to beat Wolves at plus 200.
Yeah.
Just because there's a good chance that their players are just better than Wolves, and if they show up, I think they could win. And then for I think.
The banker.
Other bets, if there's actually good bets to bet on, I'd say Man U to win the first half against Burnley will be somewhere near evens, maybe 130 minus 140-ish. I think that we should probably dominate that one. I think that's a good value bet. And then for the Sunday to Monday games of next week, if there's a good bet, I'd probably say... For an outside bet, maybe Villa to beat Everton, because I'm sure their odds will be not that good, because probably around evens, yeah. And other than that, I don't see any game that's really that good for the value of the bet. Maybe, I don't think there's anything that really that.
My good value bet's going to be Sheffield United at home to Newcastle, because I think Sheffield United, from what I saw, I think they were plus 130, 135. It's a game that's winnable for them. I'm sure that they're going to be up for this game. It's a game that say they could definitely win, and I think at plus 135 it gives you good value for money. You might even get pick on that, which would be obviously around about minus 130 probably, but it's probably a good bet. I think the outside bet for me would be, I'm not sure. I think maybe it's difficult to say. I think I'm looking at it right now. Maybe. What was it one? Aston Villa at home to Everton. That may give you some good value as well, because I think, especially if Everton come off a win against Wolves, I think the odds are going to get tougher for them.
There's a lot of easy games, but for the odds you get, it's not worth putting a bet on it for these games. I don't think the value of the odds there's anything that good to bet on, but there has been in the season, obviously, but. Looks like this week and the next, there's nothing that stands out that says you should really bet on this.
No, I think the best value for me is Sheffield United home to Newcastle. That's the one that I would go for.
For me, I'm going to go Man U first half, first Burnley.
Okay. All right. We'll see you after the games this week.